this is something that you need to do up front. Go out there and look for industry standards. I mean, you have things like OAGIS, BODS, XBRL, HR, XML, FPML, very mature standards, I guess, at this point. So, and it's key. This is some of the work that you do have to do up front when you're thinking about an enterprise level or department level SOA. Here's an example of a canonical model. It's an XML schema. It's called XBRL for finance. It's actually a canonical model for financial reporting. And this just shows basically the makeup of this XBRL, which is essentially a set of schemas. But again, this particular client that I'm speaking about used this extensively for its product domain, XBRL. Initially, they did roll their own, but then after a little bit of discovery, they found out that this particular standard satisfies, upwards to 90% of their requirements, and they just had to add, the rest. Okay, here I spoke a little bit about service domains. So one of the exercises that is very useful to do up front is break up your enterprise or your department into different domains, and some of them are obvious. They're what we call commodity domains, which is finance. Every organization has a finance, your back office domain. Customer management domain. Again, every enterprise has a CRM system or some, sales and marketing departments. Technical architecture domain, which is essentially your non-functional type of services. And, last but not least is your enterprise's product domain. So this is what your enterprise sells. This is the core part of the business. And a lot of the services that you will be defining probably right off the bat will be in that product domain. So for a financial company, it's things like trades, accounts. For a healthcare company, it's perhaps insurance claims and so forth and so on. So, again, this particular client had, two core services that provided a set of operations and events that were really sufficient to move the business forward, to provide the return on investment that this client was looking for. So again, going back, a good exercise up front is to break up your enterprise into services and at least at a high level define some of these services. And, just by talking to your application experts, I'm sure each one of them, each one of you guys, you work on projects and you pretty much know which data you're using day in and day out, which databases you're going out there for this different type of information. So you'll be able to kind of partition your domain quite easily. So I'm going out to CRM all the time to pull up customer data. I'm going out to some back office system all the time, to put transactions through. So this exercise, again, does not take long, but it defines your point of arrival and defines your high-value services that you want to attack first. And again, circling back, these are the services that are going to be created opportunistically by your architecture that's attached to tactical projects. So at least they'll have in front of them, which services do I need to create? They'll look at the project that they're working on and say, hey, this is an opportunity to create this specific service, or even a couple of operations of a service, or perhaps an event. This brings me back to a good topic. Services and events. We have two things which really comprise your service-oriented architecture, or really at the core. And I see a lot of organizations just implementing basic services, which is a request-reply type of interaction. So it's a service, account service, give me your account information, update my account information, really, this type of request-reply. A lot of times what's missing or is an afterthought are events. These things go hand in hand with your request-reply services. These are the things that notify you about changes that are going on in this specific service. So, for instance, an account service should have an associated account change event. These are really push types of interactions that are usually done through messaging that contain relatively small payloads. But this is an event that's going to say, hey, something about my account or about my customer has changed, maybe a name or something else. So a typical interaction would be, I'm listening on a specific topic for an event that happens. As soon as I receive an account change event, I go out to my account service and pull up really a complete set of data, and then perhaps I cache it, or I notify my customer about what's changed. So important thing to remember is SOA consists of two things, your request-reply services and your events, your enterprise events. And as you are looking at projects opportunistically, you should be trying to derive both. And the way you implement events are sometimes quite simple. It could be a database trigger that publishes out